All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me on another great Sunday evening. Super dark out nowadays. Time change
Mhm.
pretty much affecting us all. I think the switch to 8 p.m. is a great idea. Gets us off and ready to go to bed, gets us going towards a nice nighttime routine. And that's where this conversation is going to go because I asked Jennifer earlier in the week to make a post in the group and to see what everyone struggles. And the consensus was more around they talked about nutrition, meal planning, falling off the wagon, that kind of thing. And what I got from it, or the message that I took from it, was more around how to set some habits up that will help you achieve what you're ultimately setting yourself out to do. So it can relate to many different things in life, and I am in the same boat right now. I have given myself 1 day to kind of eat what I want, and then I have a bunch of food in the fridge that I'm going to meal prep really quickly. I've cooked up some chicken, and I have to slowly start getting that back in order throughout my week. So 6 days a week. And now that we have a final challenge for the Fit 500, going out there, Allison threw in the no chocolate and no anything. That's going to be super challenging, but it's great timing. So, with that being said, I really just wanted to start at talking about that switch. How do I make that switch back to healthy food? And I just finished reading a book called Atomic Habits. And I was trying to earlier see if there was a PDF for it or download, but they just reference a website that you can download some sheets. So I'm going to look into that to see if I can post some sheets and stuff to help us along here. But basically, what the book goes into detail explaining is how to set yourself up for success and not do it all at once, because 9 times out of 10 most people will fail if they try to do everything right away versus just setting up small, I guess, goals or things that get in the way. For instance, when Lisa, I told you to put a glass of water along your path out the door type thing. So that's what I mean by things getting in the way of what we normally do. If we implement those things, then it will slowly become a habit. So with that being said, the layout is simple. If your goal is to eat healthier, book time to go to the grocery store and buy the food. So if that's your first starting point, okay, let's go buy the food, and you don't necessarily come home and meal prep right away or anything like that. At least you've got that, and then set that up as like a couple days a week. You're gonna go and buy the food, and whether you come home and make it right away, or you make a meal with your family, or do something, then at least you're getting that behavior in place where you're actually going to the store and buying whole foods. So that's a recommendation to start with, is just something so simple. Okay, my goal is to eat better. Go buy the good food instead of just being unprepared. Have nothing in your freezer. Have nothing in the fridge. There's no groceries in the house, so you always call somebody, order something. Um, so that's step number one. And then once you've got that down, you can easily progress into step number two, which is setting time in your calendar to prepare maybe 2 or 3 meals, right? 2 or 3 recipes that you enjoy, something simple like a stir fryer or whatever, and put it into a Tupperware container and then into the fridge. So maybe it's lunches for 3 days. So it's breaking these things down incrementally and slowly not allowing yourself to get the other things. Maybe on the way to work, you don't bring your wallet, you bring your license so you can drive there, but you don't bring your wallet so you don't stop and buy stuff that isn't necessarily going to help you get back on track food wise. So that's another trick that you can do. And it's putting these little pieces of roadblocks in the way that will steer you down the path that you ultimately are trying to go. And then once you've got these consistently going, and this could be over 2 weeks, it could be over 3 weeks. If it has something to do with maybe your goal is set up to, I want to work out more often. Well, just get into your gym clothes more often first. If you're having trouble getting to the gym, well, put on your gym clothes. Maybe that'll give you some feelings like, oh, I want to actually go for a walk. These clothes, I've got them on, I'm ready to go. So maybe it leads to you walking, and then from walking leads you to going to the gym. From going to the gym, it leads you to seeing your friends more often. So it's just these things can escalate if you just do the small things first instead of trying to basically say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days this week. I've got everything set up. I've got my meal prep done. If you do all that work, what ends up usually happening at the end of the week is saying, when you're ready to do it again, you realize how much work that took to do it all or nothing. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of work. But if you just slowly piece it together, it forms the habit. It stays a lot easier just because you're breaking it down into small steps. You're putting it, and I used the word calendar before, you're putting it in your calendar. You're booking time with yourself to get things done, right? And then it talks about your most important tasks. So putting something like that, if that's your goal, you got to put that as one of your most important tasks, and you got to do that right away. Got to get that done as early as possible in your day so that you can be free of that task, get it done, and you can move on with your day and it'll be a lot more productive. So when you're trying to eat better, reaching out, becoming part of a group, or actually participating in a group that you are already in that talks about it, that pushes people, maybe you start sharing one recipe a day and that starts creating a habit that you can start meal prepping. So when Jen posted that, everyone said, well, I've fallen off the wagon, fallen off the wagon. To be honest, I think that's just life. So if we keep, thinking we've fallen off something, well, how many times can you fall off if you're just consistently going through life? You're never falling off anything. You're just taking part in certain events that you may not necessarily need to, or you're participating in poor choices, laziness, stuff like that. And you can be lazy sometimes, but you can't be lazy all the time and expect to get the results of the goals that you're setting. So it's just one of those things that you have to make a conscious decision, but it doesn't have to be so big. It doesn't have to be so grand. It doesn't have to be posted everywhere. It doesn't have to be, blasted out to the world, but I do think it still needs to be written down. So if you write that stuff down, that's another thing that can help you, right? So we keep going over this. We keep repeating and reminding you guys of these things that I think we get so bent out of shape that we fall off, but yet results don't fall off that quickly. Like I know Allison can attest to this, Jen can attest to this, Jeff, Lisa, myself, we can all attest to this, so everyone on the call, that if we ate poorly for a few days, we probably don't feel the greatest for those few days. But we didn't gain back the 50 to 60 pounds that we lost. We probably didn't even gain back one of them, right? We're not gaining body fat that quickly. So we don't have to beat ourselves up, because that just starts you down another path of not doing anything, right? It drives you into, well, I didn't eat healthy Monday, so why start Tuesday? And then Wednesday comes around and you're tired because of Monday and Tuesday and the food you eat. So you just choose not to do it at all, and then a whole week's gone by. If you let that happen consistently, yes, over the course of a year, 2 years, that kind of thing, you'll probably pack on 10, 15, 20 pounds. But if you beat yourself up on a daily basis, it's only going to make it worse. So you really just want to put I would say maybe like a 5-step process of how do you get to full potential leading towards the goals that you ultimately want. And that's 1, I'm going to buy a pair of gym clothes that fit me. 2, I'm going to put them on. 3, I'm going to sign up with a friend to go to a class, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to book one day that I'm going to walk 45 minutes. And then step 4 is I'm going to increase that frequency. And then step 5 is I'm going to reflect and then do it all again. If we can get that routine going, for the people that have commented in the pages and stuff like that, I think you're going to be way better off than just kind of winging it, trying to figure out where you are, trying to ask people, where should I go? If you consistently are asking, or you're always like, I hear all the time, it's like, man, I'm falling off. Well, if you keep saying that, you really never got on. I hear it weekly. So what have you fallen off from? You're just off. And you need to know that and realize that, and that's okay. But let's turn it on. Let's start it, and start it small. Jen, I'm going to bring you on. So when you were reading these comments and everything that the people were kind of describing how they were faltering, or what did you feel like? What did you think that people were having trouble with the most? Would you say it's the food, or would you say it's more of a behavior?
Um, I think it's, yeah, I think it's definitely a behavior, because it's, I don't know, it's tricky, like what you were saying about how, it's not necessarily that you are, um sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to word this, but like it's not, it's going to those things that you don't necessarily need to go to, or um going to those places that you don't necessarily need to go to, and then you end up doing things or making choices that maybe you feel, bad about after. It's kind of like you're standing in your own way, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with the standing in your own way part. That's a big thing that happens a lot with everyone. We are our own worst enemy in the most realist sense of it, because we decide if we want to think positively about something, or if we want to be in a negative state. We get to decide if we're going to walk forward, we're going to walk backwards, or we're going to walk around it, or we're going to avoid it. We get to make all those decisions. But I think afterwards, when we beat ourselves up for them, it just makes it obviously that much harder to gain control and to be able to establish those small steps that need to be put into place. So all those people that reached out on that post, it was a pretty common answer. So I think the best advice for them is to just start a plan and maybe have an accountability person that can run through it with them, that may be on the same journey, so they can go back and forth and ask them, well, what did you start up this week? Or maybe we can go meet for a walk, or we can do that kind of thing to help those people get back on track, whether they have enough time or not. But maybe those activities take them away from the activities that weren't leading to their success. Because it is hard to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's probably the most challenging thing that most of us at the gym and in our community has a struggle with, is saying no, because we all are, pretty good people, and we want to help, and we want to share these journeys with everybody, and we want everybody to be successful. And learning to say no to those things that aren't going to benefit you is a big thing, and learning to let go of the outcome that happens afterwards. I think that's a big challenge for me. So when certain things that I struggle with, and I see an outcome and then it affects me, I have trouble letting go of those outcomes. I search and search and search, why this, why that, and it doesn't necessarily help anyone. And then I get in my own way. And then I resort to food. I am no different than anyone else. I love to eat food. I don't always eat healthy, and I always overeat when I go to eating pretty much anything. But I definitely don't beat myself up about it too much. I understand that there's hard work to happen going forward, but it's small increments, right? And I think that's what people lose their mind about, is they want it to happen from today to next week. You posted a 2017 to 2019 journey today. It's an incredible photo. Like, each transformation that you put up there is always eye-opening for a lot of people. But I think the biggest thing is it's 2017 to 2019. Like, yes, the physical side of things have changed, but I challenge anybody to ask you the mental side of it, the growth that's happened mentally, and how fast it's happened. That's 2 years, right? Like, that's 730 days. That's a long time. It's a long journey to get to where you are. But then when you look back over the course of your life, it's such a small portion of what you've actually lived. Your Florida trip, was that the one where your van broke down? Or was that
Every time we go there, our car breaks down. So
okay. Let's try to change that. You guys going back this year or what?
No, not this year.
Sure. Great. But yeah, like, I recall when you posted that picture, I recalled back to the time that you were talking about that, and you were going there, and then, a lot of the comments were around, well, I'm not sure what's going to happen on the dinner table, because not everybody's on the same page, and all this other stuff. But you consciously made decisions And they were small decisions to just slow it down. You slowed down your life, you slowed down, you took control. And I think that's the biggest thing that we all need to do, is just take a little bit more control of our own lives. And I think a lot of good things happen. We can think a little bit more clear, whether we're writing things down. Allison is an avid person to write everything down. If it doesn't get written down, it bypasses with the wind. And I think it's a great thing. So I've started to write things in a journal. I've missed, a lot less things that I said that I would get to. And it's a growing process, and it's just establishing those habits, small bits at a time. That's my biggest piece of advice for all those people that are reaching out, and all the people in the Fit 500 and the Fit Clubbers, every group that we have going in, is let's just establish a common ground that we can all meet at. And I think that's just taking small steps, whether they're together or on our own, and then going from there, and not trying to get it all at once. I can't build my business to get it to where I need it to be all at once. I can't open a second gym to allow for someone else to grow all at once. I can't do any of that stuff without taking the small steps. And I can't change what I'm doing right now just because it isn't yielding what I see in the future. Well, it's in the future. Like, I have to get to that. So it's that gut check where it's like, okay, today let's do the steps that we've always done. Let's stay the course and just put in these little bit of efficiencies that can help us moving forward. It applies to everything that I do. Like, I think that if we simplify, we can get to where we need to be, and it'll happen a lot faster than what you actually think. Your expectations are up here sometimes, but I think we can get to that height faster if we just tone it up, bring it in together. You know what I mean? So that's good. So I'll post something for those people if they don't watch this call. Our views are not super high based on our activities, so they definitely aren't watching every single call, but I'll post something in reflection to that. But I'm going to screen share here. Okay. So this is my library. I wanted to bring you guys in just to see kind of what my library of books that I've been reading over the last little while since I found this wonderful app called Audible. So the last two I just downloaded, of course, Every Shot Must Have a Purpose. That's pretty good. I think I'm excited about this one. I've already started and I downloaded the PDF, so that one's exciting. Succeeding Golf. Beginner's Guide, Tip Sports. I actually just reached out to my golf coach, Joe, and I said that next year or whenever I'd like to get involved with the juniors and volunteer. I've been searching and searching and searching. Like, we do a lot of good things with Fit Club, and I don't want to always do something that's Fit Club. Like, obviously I love it, it's passionate, but I want to do something that's Corey. I want to do something that's me. That kind of identifies me and allows me to just do something I truly love. So I'm really diving in. I have been diving into the game of golf, and the overall, I guess, relationship building that it's brought me this year. This past year has been eye-opening. Like, I've met so many people on the golf course just by not being afraid to go to the course and not know anyone I'm golfing with. Like, I could have golfed alone all year long because my time, I don't know anybody there. But I booked in tee times. I'd sent the person a message. You don't know me, but I jumped in your time. I hope you don't mind. Like, I sent that so many times, and I'm just diving right in. And I told Joe last night that I'd love to give back to the youth. And I see my kids, they're watching me swing the clubs at the gym and stuff like that. And they're throwing golf balls at me. And I just think it's really cool. So I'm taking those small steps to and give back. This one was really cool. Great Leaders Have No Rules. Kevin Cruz is the author of that book. And it talks about habits as a leader. If you go down the path of making things like micromanaged or over controlled and stuff like that of the people around you, it doesn't bode so well long term. You lose creativity and freedom amongst the people that you work around or work with. And it's not just people that you may employ, or it's anybody in your community. So that was a really cool one to read. Employee Engagement, How to Motivate Your Team to High Performance. So I finished that one recently. That was a really good book. 15 Secrets Successful People Know About Time Management and Productivity, Habits of 7 Billionaires, 13 Olympic Athletes. This is a really cool book. Reason being, it just has an overall, as you see, it's listed there of all the different types of people that it took and pulled information from, and it broke it down into obviously the top 15. So I can go back in that book to any one of 15. Each chapter is a secret. So such a cool book. This one here, The Atomic Habits. This one is the one that I broke down and all about, because it definitely teaches us how to do it, how to do exactly kind of what the topic was, Jen. So Atomic Habits, whether you get the hardcover, download the Audible, you can sign up. I think you can get a couple free credits, but it's a really, really cool book. Peak Performance, Elevating It. Relentless is a cool one. It helped me get a mindset of, like, if I want to coach and train golfers, just start coaching and training myself and have that mentality, and then learn, dig in, figure out things that work, don't work, that doesn't work for me, and then just decide to go out and do it. So Tim Esgrover is a trainer. That's what he decided. He was going to train the best, most important sports people, really. He trained Michael Jordan, trained Kobe Bryant, and he came from nothing. He just said, I'm going to train those athletes. And he became pretty awesome. And then obviously some David Goggins stuff. So yeah, that's the most recent stuff that I wanted to share with you. I would say Atomic Habits, read that. That's a good one. And then this 15 Secrets of Successful People. Those are two top on the list. I think that anybody could dive in and get something from that can help you. But other than that, I'm going to stop share. I just want to ask if anybody's willing to share something that they're working on that they may need help on, or if they've got it under control, just kind of shout out what you're working on to create a better habit around. Mine, I told Allison this, I am going to eat better, but I do want to reduce my caffeine intake. I totally do. I haven't been so great this week, but I need to sleep better. I am not sleeping. So I think that's a main leading cause. Jen, you have anything?
Something I might need help on.
Not necessarily help if you already have it under control, but just something you're trying to implement new habits towards.
Well, I am finding that I used to be kind of totally against meal prep, because I was like, I don't want to waste like my whole day on that. But I am finding it really successful, like, to start my week off that way. So I have probably for the last maybe 4 weeks now, I've actually just really made time to do it, and it is helping.
Does it take the whole day?
It doesn't. I just always had it in my mind that it would. I guess it was just like this silly thing, right? But it does set me up for success for the week, and it is really helpful. I just have to, make sure that I make time for it.
There's an interesting point along that line by setting you up for the week. Imagine all the decisions that you have to make daily on top of the food decisions if you don't have anything prepped. And what you get hung up on most is, what am I going to eat?
Mm-hmm.
And then you scatter. And then you're in a drive-through and you're frazzled because for some reason it takes forever and someone orders $42 worth of whatever it may be in front of you that is an order forever. And then you're just going to go crazy and mad and you just binge eat. And then you stop at the grocery store and you hit the bulk food aisle and you get the Grand Slam mix or Bridge mix. And you walk out and you're like, by the time you get home, you want to eat it all so that your family doesn't see they're eating it. And these are true stories, guys. I'm telling you. Unprepared means you have so many more decisions, and by the time you make the decisions when you're going to eat or what you're going to eat, usually your willpower meter is quite low. And I guarantee meal prep takes 2 hours max for 7 days of lunches and potentially snacks and breakfast, maybe. My breakfast, when I'm back on track, like this week was pretty good. It was oatmeal. 2.5 minutes in the microwave, 2.5 minutes to stir it. That's 5 minutes a day, right? 35 minutes over a week, 7 days. Like that's nothing. And then my breakfast, that carries me all the way through. And then if you cook 5, 6 chicken breasts and you use the Instapot for stew, it's amazing, right? You get everything done. So yeah, there you go. We're just gonna check in with Jeff on the treadmill. Are you alive, Jeff?
Yep. Just trying to figure out how to pause it so it's not too loud. Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's in miles, and I've got it's covered. I'm just walking for an hour. Yeah, and I guess my challenges and struggles is scheduling myself in for health, like personal fitness, mental health, just using being busy and family kind of as an excuse. So even right before this call started, I booked an extra boot camp this week. Extra meaning a boot camp this week. And yeah, well, I leave on the 14th, so I've got a few weeks just to kind of, or not even a few weeks, a week and a half to really focus and make sure I'm in top shape going into the trek. So yeah, it's the part about scheduling it in first. I'm good at scheduling everybody else except myself. So that's where, not just this week, but going forward, want that accountability.
Yeah, and on that topic, I've made a reminder on my phone that happens daily. One is get closer to being like more conscious, like to be present, that kind of thing. And then the other one is just problem solve. When that thing goes off, it books time for me to problem solve. And whatever's in my life going on, I try to do the best I can. And yeah, I try not to use the excuse of family and my kids and stuff like that. It's really hard because obviously it's demanding and everything like that. But at the same time, kids go to bed at 7. I'm up till 10, 11 lately. Like that's 4 hours. I've sat around a lot of those hours. And the average person spends 2 hours on social media times 365 days. Guys, that's a lot of hours. 730 hours of time that you spend on social media just perusing. Like it's not even like directed time. It's just screen scanning. So that was a big eye opener. I just heard that the other day, like maybe 2 days ago, and I'm trying to cut down. I'm going to open up that screen thing again and see if I can cut down my times and book times to actually go on and participate on the socials, because then it'll cut it down probably from 2 hours to 30 minutes, I would say, just being more efficient. Allison, busy day for you? Busy week ahead? Aren't you going into like basically like Allison blackout mode with the original kids theater soon?
I do. I have a lot going on right now in my evenings in particular. And my days at work are pretty busy with meetings. So one of the new things I've started doing is heading into work just even an hour earlier than usual. And it's getting me a chance to get caught up on a few things before I head into my crazy days of meetings and late evenings doing all my extra stuff. So that's helping.
No one bugs you for that hour. No one's there probably.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent. You always share good tips, so I'm sure you will throughout the week. Best of luck with those busy days. I know Original Kids pretty much just has you doing everything. Oh, that's good. Lisa, did you find your way yet? Are you still in retirement mode?
I'm getting there. Last week was a little bit of a bust. So today I'm in a good headspace. So I made up a journal and I've recorded and booked all my classes at the gym. I wrote down everything that I want to do for dinners. I'm always good at lunch and breakfast. And then if I'm not prepared for dinner, like you said, it just goes to hell in a handbasket. So I've got that all organized and prepared of what I want. So I feel good going into this week. I've made some changes, so I feel good.
Excellent. The best coaches in sports make tiny changes, and it yields great results. Look at Bill Belichick for the New England Patriots. I don't know if anybody follows football, but you don't really have to follow football to understand that time and time again, year in, year out, that man has skilled players, unskilled players, undrafted, drafted players. They just find a way. And this year they're 8-0, perfect record. They have the most points for, and they have the least points against, and it's like 62 points they've let in all year in 8 games. Every other team is over 100 points let in. Reason being is you make small changes at timely, intersections in the week, and it's incredible. So taking that mindset of a coach of your life, a coach of your program, a coach of your team, and just make simple changes, small changes, instead of making this grand change that we're going to sign the best player in the world and they're going to bring us a championship. No, you're going to sign the small little things up that get you towards your goal. So I see Mama T jumped on in the end. I'd like to say hello. I hope you're well. We haven't seen you in a bit. I know you're busy. Gone.
Oh.
Busy traveling, and she's about to go to Jamaica, get married, all that good stuff. But anyways, all right, guys, that's it from me. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining. Enjoy your Sunday night, half hour early, and try to get to bed early to make up for time change. I don't really know how that works. I'm going to try, but we'll see. Anyways,
Thanks.
night, guys.
Thanks, Corey. Good night. Good night.